Taliban leaders met officials from the United States and Qatar for the first time since their return to power in Afghanistan 2 years ago. The two sides discussed confidence building measures during the 2 day talks, including the lifting of sanctions and travel bans, as well as the return of Afghan central bank assets held abroad. The 2 day discussions between the former battlefield adversaries occurred in Doha, Qatar, with US Special Afghan Representative Tom West and Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi leading their respective delegations. The US urged Afghanistan's Taliban to reverse policies responsible for the deteriorating human rights situation in the country, particularly for women, girls, and vulnerable communities, while praising economic and counter-narcotics gains the country has made under the de facto rulers. The United States expressed grave concern regarding detentions, media crackdowns, and limits on religious practice since the Taliban seized power in Kabul. The US side backed the Afghan people's demand for their rights to be respected and for their voices to shape the future of Afghanistan. The statement said that the US side identified areas for confidence building in support of the Afghan people. The attendees included US Special Representative Thomas West and Special Envoy for Afghan Women, Girls and Human Rights, Reena Amiri. The authorities voiced openness to continue dialogue on counter-narcotics, recognizing a significant decrease in cultivation of poppies this growing season. Taliban fighters used the plant from which opium is extracted to help fund their armed struggle for years. By 2020, 85% of the world's opium was flowing out of Afghanistan according to the UN, but since their takeover, authorities have banned the crop. The US delegation also met representatives of the Afghan Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance, with the State Department saying it took note of falling inflation as well as rising exports and imports in 2023. The US froze about $7 billion in Afghan Central Bank funds held in the Federal Bank Reserve of New York after the Taliban took power. Half of the funds now are in Swiss-based Afghan fund. No country has formally recognized the Taliban since its return to power. The group took over in August 2021 as Afghanistan's Western-backed government collapsed in the aftermath of the US's chaotic withdrawal from the country after 20 years of conflict. Since the takeover, the Taliban has faced international condemnation, including from several Muslim-majority countries, over restrictions the group has imposed on women's education. Afghanistan is also grappling with a humanitarian crisis, with almost half of its population, 23 million people, receiving assistance from the World Food Programme last year.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel and never miss an update.